And welcome everybody to this breaking news report here at Narativ. We have been uncovering some brand new documentation in the Epstein files, which deserves everyone's attention today. It is a new document, as far as we can tell. It has not been previously reported on by everybody else, although the file seems to have been in there since January. We're not quite sure why it's only appearing now as we do searches. However, as we've been watching, the judge in the Katie Fan case ordered Blanche to show these documents, to release various documents from the Trump-related incidents in the Epstein files, and he's refused to do that so far. The DOJ has refused to do that. In fact, he's now being ordered to pay $1,000 a day in fines. As we've been watching that, and as we've been watching the confirmation hearings of Todd Blanche into the Attorney General position of the Trump regime, this particular email and its sudden discovery is really important for everyone to pay attention to. I'm going to show it to you in just a few seconds. It is an email that not only mentions Donald Trump, the president, in the context of crimes potentially committed by Jeffrey Epstein, but it also mentions a few other people in the government and previous administrations run by Donald Trump. Bill Barr is in this document. Howard Lutnick is in this document. Leslie Wexner is in this document. And Jess Staley, just yesterday, interviewed by the committee, the Oversight Committee in the Congress. He's also mentioned there, as are other people: Leon Black, Prince Andrew, Harvey Weinstein, Alan Dershowitz, and Bill Clinton. There's not many surprises in terms of the names, but what I'm about to show you is what the DOJ internally said was reported about each of these individuals within their files. So this is an internal document, an internal email being sent from someone at the DOJ to someone else at the DOJ, detailing in great detail what each of these individuals is said to have done in the Epstein files. And it is even more interesting than that, because that is already quite sensational. And then you'll see what I'm about to read you. And I should warn viewers, this is triggering. If you're not comfortable with the kind of violent language that could be used in some of these police reports regarding assault, I'd recommend turning off right now. But I should also say that the timing of this particular document is perhaps the most important thing of it, because it comes on a very specific day in the Epstein calendar. And we will show you exactly why it is so important. I've asked Ann P. Mitchell to join us. She's an advocate who works with the TESS organization as well. And hopefully Anne will join us in a matter of minutes to give us some legal analysis as we get this incredible reporting on this new email out. Before I show it to you, I just want to double check that Anne is, she's saying she's joining us right now. So there she is. Hi, Anne. I gather you didn't get the email that, there you are, that you didn't get the email inviting you to the Substack.
I did. I just found it, and I also got the link, the StreamYard link, but the one in the email went to a blank screen. But the one that you sent me out through our other channel.
Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here.
I am too.
I've been describing to our viewers how important this document appears to be, because what it contains are not only these very well-known, high-profile names, some of which are in the Trump administration, but it also contains what they apparently did. According to the DOJ, this is an internal email from one person in the DOJ to another person in the DOJ. And, you know, the sensational piece of that isn't even that. The sensational piece of that is that the date, which you pointed out to me in our conversation earlier, Thursday, the 24th of July, 2025, is the date. That is a very important date in the Epstein calendar. That is the date that Todd Blanche interviewed Ghislaine Maxwell. And so it is interesting in that regard. Maybe, perhaps, this email summarizing all the allegations in the Epstein files for someone at the DOJ, maybe it was intended for Todd Blanche. It is redacted up there at the top, but we'll show you evidence as to why we think it could be something that Todd Blanche would have used in preparation for his interview. And that, of course, is significant news as we watch Todd Blanche's confirmation hearing the other day, and his confirmation process. A vote is expected next month, but he's certainly up against the ropes there in terms of getting a majority of the committee to vote for him. This may even skew that even further. So let's, without further ado.
So Zeb, I just want to say, like, so do you have a a thought on how to make sure to get that in front of the people, the right people on that committee? So, because we know about it now, but they may not.
Well, hopefully they're watching, and if they're not watching, hopefully people who are watching get it to them, and we'll certainly make an effort to get it to them too. This is an extraordinary list of names: Donald Trump, Bill Barr, Howard Lutnick, Les Wexner, Jess Staley, Leon Black, Prince Andrew, Harvey Weinstein, Alan Dershowitz, Bill Clinton. None of them are surprises because we all suspected that they were involved. But this is an internal DOJ document, potentially to the incoming Attorney General, but we can't say that for sure, but potentially to someone else high-ranking in the DOJ, which identifies what the DOJ believed were committed or had evidence of that these people may have committed, allegedly, I should say, just to protect myself in every way. I've got a lawyer present. I should do that. So let's read this document. It says, included Trump. So this is redacted. I'll just say redacted where the names are redacted. Redacted stated Epstein introduced her to Trump, who subsequently forced her head down to his exposed penis, which is subsequently bite. In response, Trump punched her in the head and kicked her out. Next one, redacted. Remember, Epstein introduced her to Trump saying, "This is a good one, huh?" And Trump responded, "Yes." Now, those are allegations that apparently are contained within the DOJ files about the President of the United States, current President of the United States, and about his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. You've said you've seen these before. Have you, Anne?
Some of these, I haven't had a chance to go through it with a fine-tooth comb, but some of these definitely were actually in a prepared slide presentation by the joint DOJ, FBI, SDNY task force, and I think some of your followers and certainly some of my followers have seen that slideshow, but that was put together quite a while before that, as best as I can remember. I'm actually going to look that up the next time that you're talking, and I'm not.
And that's actually possibly good confirmation that this is an internal, that the same documents that would have informed this email, the same evidence that would have informed this email, likely informed the same slideshow you're talking about there. That could explain why there's two different dates there. But thank you for raising that previous presentation. Let's go through some of the rest of this. And as we do this, Weinstein. Redacted stated she gave Weinstein a massage during which he fondled her, masturbated, and offered to pay her extra if he could ejaculate on her chest. Then Redacted stated Weinstein came to her apartment, offered her a job, and then tried to follow her into the shower. Redacted stated Epstein told her to give Weinstein a massage, during which Weinstein tells her to take off her shirt. She refused, and then Weinstein threatens to get women to come force her to. Incomplete sentence there, but I think we know what it means. Prince Andrew, redacted, stated Maxwell told her to make Prince Andrew happy by doing exact same things to him that she did for Epstein because he is good friends with Maxwell. Steve Scully witnessed Prince Andrew on Epstein's island grinding against a young girl. Redacted stated Prince Andrew and Epstein flew on Epstein's plane and had orgies. Glenn Dubin, redacted, stated Maxwell instructed her to give Dubin a massage and do what she did for Epstein. Jess Staley, just yesterday in front of the committee, testifying apparently, stated Epstein told him to give Staley a massage at Epstein's mansion. Staley forced her two hands on his crotch and had rough sex with her. Leon Black, redacted, stated Epstein told her to give Black a massage while Black was naked. Stated another female gave Black a massage and he made her perform oral sex. Epstein made jokes about Black's penis size. Redacted, stated Black raped her numerous times and sex trafficked her, including at Epstein's. Black threatened her to destroy her life and stated he connections with the police, Les Wexner. Then Steve Scully stated Wexner was #1 on Epstein's speed dial list. This is about Liz Wexner. And redacted stated Epstein earned his money from having sex with Wexner. It's the first time I've seen in writing this allegation, which I've heard many times before, that there was a relationship, a sexual relationship with Epstein and Wexner. This is the first time I've seen it in any document. Alan Dershowitz, redacted, stated she gave him a massage on Epstein's plane when she was not a minor in this case. Let me just get rid of the banner here. And Bill Clinton stated she met Epstein through another victim who had traveled with Epstein and Clinton in Africa, to Africa. Redacted, not a victim of Epstein case, claimed she was invited to an orgy with Clinton, but did not attend. NTOC from redacted, not a victim in Epstein case, claimed to be a victim of Epstein and participated in big orgy parties with Clinton. Howard Lutnick, Simon Andriesch reported that Lutnick made his money through Ponzi schemes and money laundering. Lutnick and Epstein were neighbors, and Epstein sold Lutnick a home for $10, which was then sold for millions. This is something that Narativ was first to report on many months ago. Alexander Guest, 3 NTOC from redacted, not a victim in Epstein case, where she stated she was a paid escort for Guest and claimed Maxwell hired her to be an escort for Epstein. Jean-Luc Brunel, redacted, stated Brunel and Epstein were close and traveled often together. Redacted stated that she saw Brunel on Epstein's island. Bill Barr, who was yesterday spotted in Congress. I don't know what he was doing there, but he was very agitated and refused to talk to reporters. Bill Barr, redacted, stated, was at Epstein for a model event, ran into Barr, who stated he wanted to see her next time he came. At another point, Epstein asked if she had ever met Barr. NTOC redacted claimed she was a victim of Epstein and that Barr was present during some of this abuse. So what we're seeing here is, and there's another thing here, it says R.E. Clinton, in the main SS, there was a mention of orgy with Tony Blair. Can you cut and paste that? And then that's pasted here. But so the rest of this, I believe, is the same thing I've just read, but slightly maybe massaged differently. But
bad choice of words.
Yeah, it is a bad choice of word. I apologize for that. But the initial email then is sent from someone in DOJ to someone else, and he says, "Thank you. Can you write me a sentence or two for the below are the salacious statements made against the individual in the file? Feel free to add if I missed someone." And then it lists all these people. So there's a request for the salacious statements. And then there's another one that says, "Good morning. I did not find an interview of Nicholas Tartaglione, Epstein's cellmate, during his first suicide attempt documented in Sentinel. Please reach out to case agent redacted for additional information or context regards." So, Anne, what do you think we're looking at here?
Well, first of all, I have the Joint Task Force FBI slideshow pulled up now, and I'm just trying to verify when that was produced, because I think it was produced in January of 2025. And so this is clearly, as you surmise, I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think this is something that, basically a cheat sheet for Blanche, because, I mean, it's a huge coincidence that it has the same date as the date that he went and interviewed Maxwell. So I think that this is possibly a cheat sheet in preparation for him to ask her about those things. Although the transcript of that interview, of Blanche's interview with her, is hundreds of pages long. So I know he touched on some of these things. I can't say for sure.
He did. I've done this legwork here, and we verified that almost all of these people are names that he asked Ghislaine Maxwell about. And in fact, Ghislaine Maxwell's responses vary quite dramatically from what are the salacious statements included in here. So here's an example of some of that, which I think will be very interesting for our viewers. It says, this is about Donald Trump. We explained what was written in the file. Epstein introduced her to Trump. Trump forced her head down to his exposed penis. She bit him. Trump punched her in the head and kicked her out. Blanche then asked, did you ever hear Epstein say Trump did anything inappropriate? Maxwell responds, absolutely never, in any context. The president was never inappropriate with anybody. In the times I was with him, he was a gentleman in all respects. I mean, there's a stark contrast there, to say the least. It suggests, you know, why was Blanche asking all the same names as on this list? And if he was armed with this information, how did it inform this interview? Because that seems to me like we are talking about a potential involvement in a cover-up of this information. If she is disputing all the claims that he already knew were in the Epstein files, and then soon afterwards she is moved to a low security camp versus the prison she was in. You know, we're looking at something interesting.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying, I mean, I have a couple of thoughts about this. First of all, you know, when you meet as an attorney, when you are meeting with someone that you're going to depose, there's always that point before you go on the record. So we have no idea what kind of conversation they had off the record. And we don't know whether there was anyone else present. I suspect not. And the second point, and, you know, and so it seems almost like she was rewarded by being moved because she was a good little girl who towed the party line and said what she was supposed to say. But there is another aspect to this that is, if Blanche and others genuinely, let me say it a different way, why did he have all of these in preparation if he truly believed none of it was true?
That is the question, isn't it?
It really is. Like, why would they go through the trouble of putting together this list of, you know, the usual suspects if there was nothing there at all? And so I think that actually, I think is, and you mentioned earlier that, you know, let's have all of our viewers take this document. Is there somewhere that you're going to put it, or I can put it somewhere?
I'll post it right underneath this this video once we're done.
Okay, and, you know, take the document, download it, and then send it to your representatives and say, this document was sent to someone somewhere the same day Blanche interviewed Maxwell, and we want you to investigate why, who it was sent by, who, you know, who received it, and whatever other questions, Zev, that you think they should ask.
Well, I just also find it surprising that she is, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but
no, you didn't.
Surprising that this has emerged. I mean, the team at Test look very carefully at the documents that are released by the Epstein files, under the Epstein files mandate. I look at them very closely. I have my own AI that does it. It suddenly emerged today as we were doing our run through. Apparently it's been there since January, but it's, you know, we have to ask that question of whether it was somehow maybe not visible to everybody. Let me go through the rest of these because these are interesting. He asked about Bill Barr. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, for background, because I've like I said, I was researching the dates. So it seems as though the slideshow, the FBI slideshow, was actually created from this document. In other words, this document happened first, and then the slideshow was created. And let's see, it was compiled July 24th, July 22nd. It was released publicly. The slideshow was released publicly to the DOJ this January. Right. And it was also forwarded to Kash Patel, according to my research, on August 7th of 2025. So Kash Patel had it a year ago, when it was first compiled. But then it was, you know, nobody knew about it until the DOJ dropped in January of this year, pursuant to the EFTA.
Interesting.
So there's the timeline.
And so, were all these names included? Was Bill Barr included in the original slideshow?
I don't recall.
So it's
I
interesting
will
that
pull
Bill
it up
Barr
and
is,
look.
yeah. It's interesting that Bill Barr is in this because certainly we've all heard that there was involvement there. There's even some photographs that look very much like Bill Barr on one of Epstein's properties. But this is the first time I've seen where in the files it says the victim was at Epstein for a model event. She ran into Barr, who told her he wanted to see her next time. The second source stated Barr was present during some of this abuse. Former Attorney General of the United States. But to Maxwell, when Blanche put it to Maxwell, Blanche, have you ever met former AG Bill Barr? Maxwell, no. Blanche, did his name ever come up with Epstein? Maxwell, I don't recall any. It was, of course, under Bill Barr's term as Attorney General that Epstein was arrested.
So let me quickly just remind people that when someone is under oath, and when people say I don't recall, I don't remember, anything like that, that is basically them, cloaking what they do know in something that is almost impenetrable, right? Because you can't go into their brains and see whether they really do remember that. And so unless someone can produce a witness to the event that the person under oath is claiming they don't remember, it's a pretty safe way to, weasel out of saying yes. So I just, when someone goes like she just did in this, from factual statements to saying I don't remember, it's a pretty good bet that in fact they are hiding something, basically. Yeah. And also I did just look up, and Barr is mentioned for the same instance you're talking about. He is mentioned in that slideshow.
The next is about Howard Lutnick. Howard Lutnick does not get raised by Blanche when Maxwell was interviewed, but in the actual document that we shared with you, there are these comments. Lutnick made his money through Ponzi schemes and money laundering. Epstein and Lutnick were neighbors. Epstein sold Lutnick his home for $10. Lutnick sold it for millions. Lutnick is Trump's Secretary of Commerce. Now, it's not raised at all in the interview. That is interesting.
I actually think I've always said that the one thing that I think Maxwell said that was truthful in that entire interview with Blanche was when she said of the Epstein cohort that some of them are in your cabinet, who you call your friends. And I have always said that I am confident she was referring to Lutnick.
And she wasn't asked by Blanche about that, and she raised it on her own volition.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's Wexner. Wexner was number one on Epstein's speed dial, and Epstein earned his money from having sex with Wexner. This is what was asked of Maxwell. Blanche, did he have famous clients? Maxwell, obviously, there was the one very famous client everybody talks about, Les Wexner. That's it. Maxwell confirmed as well that he managed Wexner's properties. Now, this is the first time I've seen in the DOJ documents or any other documents something that was told to me very early on, that there was an actual romantic relationship between Wexner or an intimate relationship, let's call it, between Wexner and Epstein. It's the first time I've seen that in any of the files.
Yeah, I have seen that floating around the internet, but I've never, I don't know. I can't say. I mean, who knows? I mean, honestly, Epstein was one sick.
Well, I wouldn't be sick if they had just for having a relationship with a man. I mean,
no. I'm sorry. No, absolutely not sick. I just more. I was thinking I was kind of thinking he would do it with anyone, anywhere.
Yeah, I think he was a transactional kind of guy when it came to sex, and if he was earning money off it, and it seems like potentially he would have earned it in this case. My reporting has always led me down this path, and I've never been able to confirm it, but it is true that some people who are very close to Epstein have told me that in the past. It's interesting to see it in the files here for the first time.
Yeah.
Just Daily Epstein told her to give Staley a massage in Epstein's mansion. Staley forced her hands onto his crotch. Staley had rough sex with her. Comes up a lot in the files how rough Staley was with the victims in this case. Blanche asking Maxwell about the same person. Know someone named Jess Staley? Maxwell, I do know Jess. Maxwell confirmed the relationship between Staley and Epstein, and that's it. So, I remember thinking about that she described them as being good friends, I think, in that interview. But if Blanche was aware of these things inside the DOJ files, as the acting deputy attorney general, or whatever he was at the time, for him not to ask Maxwell about them is stunning. It's just malpractice.
Well, I suppose it could be malpractice, but it's also, it's one of those things where it's as much of an admission as if he had asked.
Yeah, exactly. Leon Black, we've mentioned these again. Black raped her numerous times, sex trafficked her at Epstein's, threatened her to destroy her life. She said he had these connections. Another female forced to perform oral sex. Epstein made jokes about his penis size. Maxwell told Blanche, how about Leon Black? Oh, I did meet Leon. I do know Leon. Maxwell acknowledged knowing Black socially, distanced herself from the Epstein connection. So, those are some of them. There's probably there's more we could have done, but you get the general sense that everyone except for Lutnick that's in this email list of internal DOJ email communication between two people about the most salacious comments inside the Epstein files, all of them came up in Todd Blanche's interview with Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah, so it really does seem like it's a cheat sheet that's being prepared for him to, review in preparation for that interview. And again, it seems like, you say you've done the legwork, so maybe you have run across the instances in the interview between Blanche and Maxwell where he raised each one of these points. But my recollection is he may have asked about names, but I don't recall him basically saying, well, there is an allegation that X, Y, and Z. So
exactly,
he really sugarcoated it or soft-sold it.
If he was aware of this email was intended for him, if he got this email, and we need to find out if he did, he would have been aware then that Donald Trump was in the files under such, lurid details around his interactions. And for him not to, he recuse himself. Firstly, of course, he's the former defense, the lawyer for Donald Trump. It's a direct conflict of interest for him to be even engaged in this. But if he had been aware of these allegations and then he asks these soft-pedaled questions and then he transfers Ghislaine Maxwell to a minimum security camp, that is beginning to smell. That is got a stench to it. I love your mug today. It is. It really. I've seen a lot of brazen things in my time, but this is if all of this bears out, it's pretty brazen.
Actually, I'm sorry. I need to switch mugs because this one is much more appropriate.
I love that. That actually relates to something else we'll be talking about later on today.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, again, for people who are just joining, this is it's almost a smoking gun. It's smoking gun adjacent, I think.
Yeah.
And not because of what the content of the allegations, which again, many of those allegations have appeared in other documents, including, the slideshow, but because of what it suggests, as Lev, hi Lev, as Zev points out, the timing of this document suggests that it was made by someone on Blanche's staff in preparation for him. It's cliff notes of things that he, it just occurred to me. It may not be, here's what you want to ask her. It may be, here's what you need to steer clear of.
Or here's what you need. Yeah, it could be. It could be, we want to hear what you have to say about these people because we may reward you if you don't say what is in these documents. And if you say what's in these documents, we may punish you. So it's a good checklist if you're going in there to say, Ghislaine, what do you know about all these people?
Okay, here's again, everybody, download this document and then uh, email it to your representatives, but then call your representatives because, again, as I always say, the email is one of the least effective ways to know that your representative heard you because they can just delete it or, but with a document, you have to use email, or I guess you could also FedEx it. Anyway, the point is also call. After you email this document, call them because they have to log every call and they have to note what the call was about. And so call them and say, I just emailed you this document and we need to know, what's going on here. We need to know what this document was being prepared for. We need to know what Blanche knew when he went into that interview with Maxwell. It's clear it was prepared for him to use for that interview. And we want you to question Blanche about it way before the confirmation vote. And we want to know if he showed it to Maxwell before they went on the record, because that just occurred to me, Zev, that maybe he took this document in with him, showed it to Maxwell, and said, here are the things we want to make sure don't come out in your interview.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
that's entirely possible.
it's entirely possible. It's also, remember, entirely possible that, she pled the fifth time and time again during her time with the congressional investigation team, and had also made an offer at the time saying she will reveal absolutely everything they need to know about Trump, Clinton, etc. if she's given immunity. I think was
Right.
the offer in front of her. But
Yes.
judging by her interview before, she might have been pretty well versed in what not to say about certain people.
That's what I'm thinking. I am really thinking that that's the case. And
Mm.
again, at the end of the interview, because she was a good little girl and did that all, she got moved to this, cushy facility.
Yeah. And these are all names and that we can verify are in the Epstein files. We've all done our legwork on each of these people. We know exactly that we're involved. Although I got to say, Bill Barr is in that detail is a little bit new to me. I hadn't seen that before. But certainly Prince Andrew, Trump, Weinstein. Well, I hadn't seen Weinstein so directly connected to his time.
I hadn't either.
Yeah, that is new to me. The Staley's rough sex, that's very, very consistent with what we have reported before. The Wexner relationship with Epstein, now that is new. Alan Dershowitz, we knew, we just know. And the Bill Clinton various orgies, and it's been alleged many times, he certainly denied it when he was under oath in front of the committee. There were times watching his deposition where I was like, there's no ways he's telling us the whole truth. There's just no ways. And maybe that bears out here in these comments.
So just very quickly, there are people in the comments asking where to get the document. And again, Zeb is going to put the link to download the document, the direct link in I guess a post. Is that right?
Yeah, it'll
Zeb?
be when we post this interview, we'll put this report as well. We'll post the actual document underneath it, and people can see it and do whatever they want to with it. But your idea of sending it to the Congress people and people involved in the committee is absolutely astute. And really, we need to know these things. This guy's about to be made the Attorney General of the United States, potentially. If he is involved so directly in an attempt to cover up information or to feed information to a key witness in Jeffrey Epstein's scandal, it seems to me that would preclude him from becoming the Attorney General.
You would think.
You would think, but in this world, who knows? But under any other circumstances,
yeah. I just had another thought, which it's lonely in there. Fax. People, you don't have to have a fax machine to send a fax. There's all kinds of free internet faxing. Faxzero.com is one of them that you can fax your letter and document to, because a lot of representatives still have a fax number on their website, and that would definitely get attention,
Yeah.
because who uses fax anymore? And so a fax coming in would, I think, really get attention. I also want to just say to all of my followers who followed me over here, or came here through me, if you are not subscribed to Zev, you absolutely must. He's just amazing, as you can tell. So please, please give him that love and subscribe to him.
Likewise to Ann Mitchell, NP Mitchell, the extraordinary advocate and attorney. And we're just waiting for Lev Parnas, who I saw there for 1 second. He was just going to drop in. But while we do that, absolutely subscribe to Notes from the Front, which is Ann P. Mitchell's very authoritative look at all sorts of documents. And earlier on, you were talking about the New York Times documents, and we were going to have another conversation about what's going on with the attempt to suppress the media, including this extraordinary letter that Melania Trump sent from her lawyers. We'll do that later on because we have to get that in. And I don't know if Lev's going to join us. He was there, but now he's not.
I did see him. That's actually when I called you, Lev, because I was looking at him in the chat.
But I don't see him there anymore. Lev, oh, there you are. There you are. I think you might be coming back. There you go. There's Lev. Let me get rid of this thing. You're a little squished in there, but your audio is not working. Maybe it's not.
What about that? Is that better?
Yeah, yes, you're back.
Perfect. Hey guys, how are you?
Good. Hi. How are you doing? Lev, this document, I don't know if you had a chance to look at the show, but it's a significant thing, I think.
I came in you guys were already discussing it, and I could tell you, absolutely. When you talk about smoking guns, this is definitely a smoking gun. And also we have to remember, I want to take us back for a second about Todd Blanche and when he went to interview Maxwell. Don't forget who Maxwell's attorney is and the relationship between Maxwell's attorney and Todd Blanche.
Oh, tell us that. Tell us that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, even Marcus, I think his name is Marcus. If somebody could Google it quickly, it's just tip of my tongue. But Oliver Marcus or Marcus Oliver, he's an attorney out of Florida. He's also had Todd Blanche on his podcast twice once prior to Todd Blanche meeting with Epstein, once after. They are very close friends. And most of this, and I just people forget because there's so much going on, but we were reporting a lot of this stuff when Blanche was I was breaking some of the stuff.
I remember
talking about that this was already, there's a reason why Blanche went, and a lot of this was already pre-organized prior to the meeting and it taking place. But
what we're suggesting is such an important detail, and I remember you reporting this out at the time that Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney was friends, I think social friends as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Close friends. Literally
with Todd Blanche.
Todd Blanche went on his very first podcast, literally, and then before, and he went on a podcast after he went to interview what's her name, Maxwell.
So this is verified as being something that lands up in Todd Blanche's email, or in his hands. We don't know that it did, but the timing is remarkably coincident, and the fact that it lines up in terms of the witness, the statements line up with the people he asked Ghislaine Maxwell about, that would suggest that we should look at that relationship between Blanche and his attorney very closely, because maybe that was passed through before. Maybe she knew who she was going to lie about.
Well, first of all, we definitely need to look
Oscar
at
Marcus.
Oscar Marcus, thank you so much. Exactly, Oscar Marcus, and that's somebody that has a relationship with Todd Blanche needs to be looked at. And actually, hopefully, once we do take over the House, I've been already speaking with oversight, and I myself am running for Congress, as you know, and that is going to be one of the main things, and that's what I am running, is to be able to go over and uncover a lot of this stuff that people are just overlooking or not realizing, stuff that you're breaking, stuff that you guys are breaking here today. It's just amazing, and by the way, send that to me, Zev, also, and I'm going to send it straight over to everybody and this, but that doesn't mean you guys stop. Just everybody, make sure you send it out there. They need to be flooded with zones. They need to, just like Ann Mitchell said, get it out there, email it, post it. They have document that they're receiving it, but we'll make sure we get to them today also, Zev.
Yeah, it's important. I think that this comes out, just that we investigate it. I mean, we're close to having him confirmed as the Attorney General. I think that right now we're just waiting on, it's Cornyn and Tillis that have to decide. And I think there's some is reporting that they're still on the edge. Some people say they've already decided, but the vote isn't happening for another 2 weeks now, or even longer. But I think it's the 15th of March is the date it's scheduled for. I think there is time to still change that decision, and we need to know why this suddenly emerged. I know it's been in the files supposedly since January the 30th, but I look at these files a lot. I've never seen this before. The AI found it today because we do these consistent searches, and suddenly for this to emerge is, you have to ask questions about why.
Well, I mean, God works in mysterious ways. But I'll tell you this, and I'm sorry, Anne, just for a second. I spoke to my son Aaron earlier today, and I told him some of the great stories you've been breaking. And after we get off, we'll get on the phone. But I think you need to get on with him, and we need to break some of this, and because he could reach out to millions and millions and millions of people and put pressure on them. So I think that it's time. I'm sorry.
Which one of us are you talking to? Because, hey, when you talk to him, please tell him to answer my messages, because I've been trying to connect with him.
I tell you how many messages I write him till I get. Trust me.
Yeah,
but I will definitely make the introduction there. Absolutely, no, 100%. He's just. But I think what I'm talking about here. He
hasn't answered mine either, and don't worry.
Yeah,
he's in a different league.
He's just no, but I think right now this is important, and I think we need to bring his attention to this. And I've spoken to him, so after we get off to hear what me and you will speak up. But I think not only this, but some other reporting that you're doing is just tremendous. That I think that you're hitting some really spots just from what I'm hearing from insiders. You're really rattling some feathers, brother. So we need to make sure that we rattle him on a major level. So whatever we could do.
Absolutely. And again, you bring up a really good point about, the timeline here. So seriously, everyone who is hearing my voice, as soon as you can, hopefully as soon as we end this show, start calling and faxing and emailing your Congress people. We basically want to create a flood to all of the representatives saying, here's this document, and you darn well better look at it and question Blanche about it before you think about voting to confirm him.
Oh, we have a volunteer group we're going to do also. We're going to put it through our volunteer group that we have actually set up thousands of people that have do this on a weekly, floods a zone. This is exactly, we're going to send them that. That's perfect. Well, that's I'm going to get that out to Jay, and we're going to get that out immediately.
Excellent.
So nice to have these two great people who are working so hard for our democracy and freedom. Lev Parnas is running for Congress at Lev for Congress, and also at Lev Remembers is where you can find his Substack. Everyone knows the incredible work Lev does day in and day out. What people don't know is how much work you do behind the scenes. Not on Substack, not necessarily seen by everybody. In making sure that everything gets to the right people.
Right.
Which is so important, because if it's all us just talking to ourselves in these chat rooms and on video here, doesn't make the things change. What makes things change is when things get to the right people, and you've been instrumental in getting those stories to the right people and getting them investigated.
Absolutely.
So everyone should be subscribing to Lev. Absolutely.
God bless you. No doubt. Thank you, brother. Thank you for those kind words.
That's true. And I've already sung Anne's incredible praises, because
Anne's
no one does documents.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Like Anne Mitchell does documents. You're right.
And we need to get Anne's platform bigger also, because the way, I mean, you are a real person. You're a real lawyer. You're a real, and the perspective, and a lot of people are out there just to be able to give opinions. Your opinion matters, because you bring the facts. The way you go through those documents, and it's a difference. And that's why I think I definitely want to get you in touch with Aaron, because you're miraculously going through those documents and breaking up and finding where exactly what they're trying to do in those loopholes. And I think that's important, because back. I always say it's not Donald Trump that's writing these documents. You got people like Stephen Miller and all of these guys behind the
Yes.
scenes. They're trying to find these loopholes. They're trying to find these little things and stick them in there. And if it passes, it passes. If it gets through, so people like you, Ann, it's so important to have, and Zev and you and Ellie and my son Aaron and others that are looking through these documents, digging through them, finding these, using these new AI chats. And I just think about the timing exactly. Like, it's extremely important because right now, every day, every hour is important to be able to make sure that we do everything we can to save our democracy. So we need to build your platform bigger. We need to make spread it with Zev's platform. Guys, this is real independent journalism, and we need to make sure that we do whatever we can to get this information out and get these people's voices out loud and clear.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
It's so true of everything you're saying. And I should say one last thing here before we say goodbye. Todd Blanche met with the Epstein victims the other day. And I always say we have to end with the survivors because they are the most important people in the story. And they came out distressed. They came out unhappy. They said he didn't seem like he was interested in investigating any of this information. He said something, I think if the direct quote is correct, it said something to the effect of, they wanted something from me I can't give them, justice. And if he knew all this information contained in this email document when he knew it, and if he still looked at all those survivors in the eye and told them he can't give them justice, how can he possibly be the Attorney General of the United States? The answer to that writes itself.
Exactly. I just want to end on this. Like, very few people have sat across the room, but I have sat across the room from Todd Blanche, looked him in the eye. I've sat right next to him. I've spoken to him. I know the man he is, and that's why, it doesn't surprise me. He sold his soul. He is full, and he's even moved down to Florida. So I just want to let you know, to be closer to Donald Trump. So this is not a person that should be looked at as maybe the past. Sometimes we try to judge people by the past. I always say judge people by what they are now and the future. Yes. Because, you could be the most honest person for 30 years. And then also one day you decide to be a crook. And so, just because you were honest 30 years, we have to give you a pass for the next 30? No, we have to judge people by their actions of what they do. And sometimes, just like me and others carry the burden of what we did in the past to try to constantly overcome it, to be able to show who we are in now and in the future. We have to the opposite, do people that just because they've been great their whole lives, or what's it called, and we pass to overlook things that they do because they're a congressman or because they've been a fighter for democracy, or even perfect example, Michael Cohen, just because he testified on behalf and helped fooled so many people that it took 7 months, Zev, and what I had to personally go through to be able to, to show that this guy, and we give people credit because of their past, but not of their actions of now and the future. We need to change that. We need to look at people today, what they're doing, and not what they did in the past. So I'll leave it off at that.
Very, very well said. Thank you all for joining us here on this Narativ Breaking News Report. We'll post the document below. Thank you for being here, everyone at home. Thank you to Ann, and thanks, Lev. And we shall see you at 3 o'clock for the 5 stack. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.